coming from a camera mounted on the tip of Orion's solar array wing. There are 4 solar arrays. Each solar array could panel 2 3-bedroom homes.
Integrity maneuver and damping complete. We are go for crew exercise.
All right, we copy. Thanks, Dan. The flywheel team, this is a great device. We really enjoyed it in this small cabin. It's perfect, and it gave us a lot of good opportunity to get our heart rate up and also get some great resistance exercise. So we just wanted to shout out a nice thank you. Here we go. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the words and the cheers.
That was Commander Reed Wiseman calling down that they have finished exercise for the mission, and that's worth celebrating.
Integrity Houston, no action on the enabled caution. That's part of our cabin repress. It should clear on its own soon.
Copy. Thanks, Dan.
NASA astronaut and capsule communicator Stan Love calling to the crew aboard the Orion spacecraft. They received a caution about their cabin pressure. However, it will clear out on its own after the oxygen levels out inside the cabin. We are currently repressurizing Orion. There was a demonstration flight test objective to have the cabin pressure at 10.2 psi. That repressurization has been going on for about an hour and a half now, and the pressure is currently at 13.27. We're currently at a mission elapsed time of 7 days and 6 minutes, meaning it has officially been a week since Orion launched to fly around the moon and come back home to Earth, targeting that splashdown in 2 days, 1 hour, 25 minutes in the Pacific Ocean. We do expect to see the crew and hear from them shortly during the Canadian Space Agency Public Affairs event. That'll be in about 40 minutes.
He hears us. We got you loud and clear, Josh. Great to hear your voice. We got Jenny and Capcom, and it's great to have you on board Integrity. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, guys. We're good? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jeremy, and to your crew aboard, we have a very special guest tonight who would like to say a few words to you. And so, c'est avec grand plaisir que je passe la parole au très honorable Mark Carney, Premier Ministre du Canada.
Merci beaucoup, Joshua. Et tout d'abord, Jeremy, je veux commencer en français parce que tous les Canadiens et Canadiens sont tellement fiers de vous pour bien des raisons, mais c'était incroyable de vous entendre parler français pour la première fois dans l'espace. And as I say, Canadians are so proud of what you're doing and the collaboration. And I just want to have a chance, if I may, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled to be speaking with you, Jeremy, and the crew. We've all been watching and inspired.
And Terra Houston, cabin repress is complete, 14-7, and we'll stay that way for the rest of the mission.
Stan, we definitely appreciate that, and you should probably just carry a note forward for future Artemis missions. If you do a large repress like that, there are certain things, such as CCUs, that collapse pretty significantly during that, no damage, but there are some things that we probably would want to vent along the way as we come back in pressure.
Received loud and clear, Reed. We'll take that note.
That was Commander Reed Wiseman calling down to the ground. We did conduct the cabin repressurization today. The cabin pressure was kept at 10.2 psi for an extended period of time as part of a test aboard the spacecraft, as this is a test flight, the first flight of humans aboard Orion. Everything we learn is helping us prepare for future missions.
Houston Integrity, call in the blind from a Peltor, and just doing a test for the Peltor noise reduction flexible activity. These actually work really well. We have 3 crew members on Peltors, 1 in the toilet, and we're using the Bluetooth feature to talk between them, and they sound really good. Noise canceling makes them very quiet, and then talking to each other with push-to-talk on the headsets.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You just heard NASA astronaut Victor Glover call down from the Orion spacecraft. You can see a live view of that Orion spacecraft. He noted that he was making a call in the blind, which means that he knows that the team here cannot respond to that call because we are currently in a forward link loss of signal. This is Artemis Mission Control. Following that brief data rate change, we now have those live views back of the crew inside the Orion spacecraft. Again, they're working through some stowage activities to start preparing for re-entry prep. They will do a lot of their re-entry preparations tomorrow when they will be reconfiguring the cabin to prepare for splashdown, and they will also be studying their entry procedures. In addition to stowing some of their equipment, they will also be installing their seats to ensure all items are secured for re-entry.
We all just had that weird vibe of backing up and we were getting sad.
Oh, we feel it too, but we'll be happy to have you back.
Awesome. Let me have a look, and we'll let you know if we have anything we can tee up for you now. Otherwise, we'll wait for it as scheduled.
That sounds great, and Victor's spinning is making us giggle. It's really spectacular.
Integrity, this is NASA PAO Courtney Beasley. How do you hear me?
Hey, Courtney, we hear you, but you are very low.
Okay, I will try to talk a little bit louder. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, it's great to see you today. We have a room filled with media eager to talk to you.
Courtney, we have you loud and clear.
Wonderful. We have a room full of media ready to talk to you today, and we also have them on our phone bridge. We have a limited amount of time, so we're going to go ahead and hop straight into questions. We'll start here in the room with Marcia Dunn. Go ahead.
Marcia Dunn, Associated Press for you, Reed. Could you please describe your emotions when Jeremy called down to Mission Control to ask permission to name a lunar crater after your late wife, Carol? It was a pretty emotional, powerful moment down here.
Marcia, it was a powerful moment up here as well. My crewmates approached me when we were at Kennedy in quarantine, and they said, hey, the 3 of them had talked, and they would like to do this. And that was an emotional moment for me, and I just thought that was just a total treasure that they had thought through this, and they had offered this. And I said, absolutely, I would love that. I think that's just the best. And I said, but I can't give the speech. I can't give the talk. And Jeremy, the kind of guy he is, he said he would do it. And it was getting emotional there. And I think when Jeremy spelled Carol's name, C-A-R-R-O-L-L, I think for me, that's when I was overwhelmed with emotion. And I looked over and Christina was crying. I put my hand down on Jeremy's hand as he was still talking. It was right there on that rail. and I could just tell he was trembling, and we all pretty much broke down right there. And just for me personally, that was kind of the pinnacle moment of the mission for me. That was, I think, where the four of us were the most forged, the most bonded, and we came out of that really focused on that day ahead. I think that was a very caging moment for the four of us. Thank you for that question, and it was a great moment.
And we have seen just some extraordinary things that I thought we might see. They looked similar to what I thought they might look like, and other things that I just had never even imagined. And those were different perspectives that we saw these things from. But I have to say, it hasn't changed my perspective or the perspective that I launched with. But the perspective I launched with was that we live on a fragile planet in the vacuum in the void of space. We know this from science. We're very fortunate to live on planet Earth. And the other perspective that I've sort of learned from others through life is that our purpose on the planet as humans is to find joy, to find the joy in lifting each other up by creating solutions together instead of destroying. And when you see it from out here, it doesn't change it. It just absolutely reaffirms that.
Houston, integrity for a quick, kind of a PAO item, but more of an item for the folks in the control room there.
Go ahead.
Do you have our video still?
We do.
I'm not sure if it made it in the handover, but this morning we were asked to go unpack a very special item, and we just wanted to we wanted to share it in that PO event. We just didn't get an opportunity to do so. So we were to share with you all because we need to share this. Like this has to be shared, right? So in Victor's hands here is the Apollo 18 flag that the agency asked to have put on board Artemis 2 so that it could take its rightful trip around the moon. And the four of us are just honored to have this here. We're honored that it is in our presence, and we are honored to carry the torch from Apollo through Skylab, through the space shuttle, through our beloved International Space Station, and now back further than humans have ever gone, around the far side of the moon, and safely home back to Houston. So we just wanted to share this with you because it needed to be shared. Thanks.
Carrying the torch indeed. Thank you for sharing it with us and the world, and we'll look forward to welcoming you and that flag back to Houston shortly.
This is Mission Control Houston in the Artemis Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center. At a mission elapsed time of 7 days, 17 hours, 10 minutes, we heard today's wake-up call for the Artemis 2 crew aboard the Integrity spacecraft, marking the start of Flight Day 9 activities. Today's wake-up music was Lonesome Drifter by Charlie Crockett. Activities today are focused on the crew's daily planning conference that will happen in their post-sleep period. Then they will jump right into the day's activities, which includes studying and preparing for entry and splashdown. Entry is scheduled for a mission elapsed time of 8 days, 22 hours, 15 minutes, followed by splashdown at a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 31 minutes, 49 seconds off the coast of California. They will have a conference with the Orbit 1 flight director to discuss vehicle status, recovery, and weather. The crew will then have their final public affairs event and continue with more entry preparations to reconfigure the cabin and prepare for splashdown. Later today, the second Return Trajectory Correction burn, or RTC-2 burn, is scheduled to take place at a mission elapsed time of 8 days, 4 hours, 18 minutes. This is the second in a trio of Return Trajectory Correction burns that ensure the crew is set up for a safe splashdown. The last RTC maneuver takes place on Flight Day 10, 5 hours before entry interface, once the crew has begun working through their preparations for coming home. The crew aboard Integrity remain on a free return trajectory as they make their way back to Earth, with splashdown coming up in 1 day, 8 hours, 18 minutes, and counting down. We'll continue to follow operations here in Mission Control. I'm Nilofer Ramji, handing things over now to our Orbit 1 team, which includes Rob Navius, who will take you through the next few hours as we kick off Flight Day 9 of the Artemis 2 mission.
This is Mission Control Houston at a mission elapsed time of 7 days, 17 hours, 16 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon on the eve of the astronauts' homecoming back to Earth. You're looking at a computer-generated visualization of the Orion spacecraft called Integrity, dubbed to that name by the 4 astronauts on board, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialists Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. A number of countdown clocks ticking backward here in the mission control room, known as the White Flight Control Room, the Artemis Flight Control Room, here in Mission Control at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. One of the more significant clocks indicates that we are 8 hours and 13 minutes away from reaching the halfway point of the astronauts' journey back to Earth, which will culminate in a parachute-assisted splashdown in the Pacific off the coast of San Diego on Friday night at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, some 2.5 hours before sunset. As my colleague Nullifer Ramji just indicated, the entry team of flight controllers is on duty at this hour, led by Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling. You'll be hearing the voice of spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey throughout the course of the day as she discusses all the procedures and conferences that lie ahead on this eve of the astronauts' homecoming to wrap up what will be a mission just over 9 days in duration. The Artemis mission management team is about to convene for its daily meeting. They'll be reviewing spacecraft systems and the latest weather predictions, which are quite good for splashdown for the crew on Friday night, to wrap up what will ultimately be a mission of 694,392 statute miles. That includes that high Earth orbit trajectory that Orion was put in following launch to enable the flight control team and the astronauts to evaluate 24 hours of systems performance before the translunar injection burn that occurred this past Monday that sent the spacecraft en route to the moon for its historic lunar flyby. 694,392 statute miles represents the total distance predicted for this mission by the flight dynamics officer here in Mission Control, and that includes the total distance between launch and splashdown. The weather forecast is essentially unchanged from what you heard in our mission status briefing yesterday. We are expecting, assuming an on-target splashdown for integrity, for winds to be out of the southwest, somewhat less than 10 knots, wave heights around 4 feet, generally essential and ideal conditions for the recovery operations that will follow the parachute-assisted splashdown for the vehicle and its 4 occupants. There will be a number of entry preparation activities throughout the course of the day. Later this afternoon, there will be a conference between the flight director, Rick Henfling, and the crew to talk about entry procedures. The crew will receive from the flight dynamics officer what is called an entry pad. That is a sheet that contains all of the pertinent statistics for all the burns that will occur on Friday, leading up to the separation of integrity from the European service module prior to its entrance into the Earth's atmosphere on Friday evening. That high-speed entry is going to be quite dynamic. It will start at 6:53 p.m. Central Time tomorrow, Friday, with an arrival at entry interface at an altitude of 400,000 feet, with integrity traveling at some 34,882 feet per second. At that point, the range to splashdown will be some 1,700 nautical miles. And shortly thereafter, we will enter a planned 6-minute blackout period where peak heating will occur around the vehicle, and temperatures will increase to some 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, creating an ionization as Integrity's heat shield repels that heat. It will create a plasma shield that will prevent communications between ground controllers here in Mission Control and the vehicle. Once we emerge from that 6-minute blackout period, the vehicle will begin to enter the denser portions of the Earth's atmosphere. We'll conduct a series of roll reversals to bleed off excess speed, with its onboard computers targeting a splashdown at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, to wrap up this historic mission, flying around the moon and the first crewed mission on the Orion spacecraft. In the field of view from one of the solar array wing cameras on Integrity is the astronauts' destination for tomorrow night. That is planet Earth. It's winking back at you as we approach the halfway mark in this mission back home. And again, we will reach that halfway home mark just 8 hours and 8 minutes from now, around 7:05 p.m. Central Time. If you're wondering why you haven't heard from the crew so far since the wake-up music, that has been planned all along throughout the mission. The wake-up music designed to do just what it is intended to, wake the crew up. They'll be on the Orion to Earth comm loop shortly, talking to flight controllers here in Mission Control in Houston. One programming note, our mission status briefing for the day is scheduled at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where you'll hear all of the latest information about the status of Integrity Systems and preparations for its splashdown in the Pacific on Friday evening. We'll delve in much more detail about the entry timeline as the day goes along. Out in the Pacific, the recovery ship, the USS John P. Murtha, is moving towards its recovery position off the coast of San Diego, and will be at the ready to begin the recovery of the crew once they splash down. Shortly after splashdown, a series of 5 inflatable airbags called the Crew Module Uprighting System, or CMOOS as you will hear it referred to, they will be inflated with helium and will maintain an upright position for Integrity to facilitate the erection of a large raft called the front porch that will be buttressed alongside the hatch to Integrity to enable Navy divers to open the hatch and extract the crew members so they can be hoisted one by one in alternating fashion into 2 hovering helicopters that will fly then a short distance to the deck of the John P. Murtha, where the crew will leave those helicopters and be brought into medical bay on the ship for post-flight medical exams. The ultimate destination for the crew will be right back here at the Johnson Space Center. They'll be flown back from shore in San Diego to the Johnson Space Center. The exact timing of all that, uncertain. So we'll be updating you on all of that activity after we get past splashdown on Friday night. Once again, Integrity Systems are in great shape, the crew having just been awakened to begin its workday. On the eve of its homecoming, we have just passed 7 days, 17 hours, 25 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission. This is Mission Control Houston. This is Mission Control Houston, and this morning as we get underway with Flight Day 9 on the Artemis 2 mission, joining us today, Johnson Space Center Director Vanessa Weich. Vanessa, thanks for being with us today. It's a privilege.
What a phenomenal mission we've been having. So excited to be here.
It is historic in nature. We're about 32 hours until we're expecting the crew to splash down in the Pacific to complete the mission. Big picture, the history-making aspects of the mission are clearly delineated, but in your mind, the significance of what we are pulling off here this week and what it means for the future.
You know, Rob, it's just, it's hard to describe the significance of this mission. We have building and planning our teams towards this for quite some time. The Orion spacecraft is managed here at the Johnson Space Center. We have been a part of the design, development, test of that vehicle, and it's had milestones along the way. You know, we had our uncrewed Artemis 1 mission back in 2022, but now we have our astronauts on board, and they are demonstrating that that spacecraft is ready for us to have humans on board, for us to continue deep space exploration, which we have not done since 1972. So this is the Artemis generation. This is our generation's opportunity to explore and to build from what Apollo did, but moving to the moon, we're now going to have a moon base. We're going to learn how to live there. We're going to go to Mars. It opens up all of the universe. It's just amazing for human exploration.
And one of the building blocks that I think some people may have forgotten about this week in the glow of Artemis 2 is just down the hall in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, where we've had a continuous human presence for over 25 years. The integration, the synergy, if you will, between the ISS Flight Control Room, this Flight Control Room, all of the programs that are building blocks, what does that say to you?
Rob, this place is buzzing. Mission Control right now, we are controlling a spacecraft that is in low Earth orbit and one that is in deep space that's hurling its way back to Earth. And so just think about it. We have been, as you said, with the International Space Station, learning to have continuous presence in an environment that is far different than what we have here on Earth. And so the experiments that we're able to do with the space station allows us, it enables what we can do in deep space. The systems that we're using for our environmental control systems on board Orion are building blocks from what we have on the International Space Station. It's just, for us right here at the Johnson Space Center right now, this is an amazing time, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud of all of the teams, the flight controllers in this room and the flight controllers that are in ISS, and we are preparing for the International Space Station itself. They have a big dynamic operation coming up very soon, and all of that is happening all at the same time, and we're making it happen.
I joke with people sometimes about the significance of the IQ that exists in this room and the ISS room all around the center, with brilliant people, great engineers who have tremendous training. How does the Johnson Space Center cultivate such a talent force, if you will, and maintain it as we move into a new era of space exploration?
You know, Rob, I started my career here at the Johnson Space Center. I've had the opportunity to work with all of our NASA centers. I had an opportunity to be at NASA headquarters. But what we do with our individuals here at Johnson is we work in team environments, and we make sure that when a younger employee comes in, they do on-the-job training. Everyone is exposed to their position so that they can learn. We nurture, we mentor them so that they are ready. And we do that in our engineering organizations, we do that in our science organizations, and in our operations teams. It's all about learning from the past so that when you're the one that's in the chair, when you're the flight director that's running this room, you've had opportunities before you to be able to train and be ready for that job.
Everybody wants the magic question, how do you feel? How do you feel? How are you going to feel tomorrow when you see Orion under those chutes, and ultimately when the hatch opens and you see this crew emerge onto that life raft? It's almost like you've seen it in the movies before, but it's going to be for real on Friday night.
Rob, I'll tell you, I was at the launch, And the feeling that I had then, which was really one of, we really have them on board, and we lit that rocket and it took off, and there they went. And every single moment since, I have been living the dream of, this is what we have been training for. This is what we've been getting ready for many years. And so when they land, I don't know if I'm going to be able to contain the pride, the joy, and it's of not just our teams, not just of those astronauts, because they have been doing an amazing job, but it's people all around the world that have contributed to this mission. And so I'm going to have probably, it's going to take me a while to stop smiling. I'm going to tell you that, and get my feet back on the ground.
Well, we appreciate everything you do for us here, Vanessa, and we appreciate your time today, and certainly looking forward to tomorrow night, that's for sure.
For sure, and thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you to our entire team. Everyone, as I said, is just doing a fabulous job. Thank you.
Vanessa Weich, Johnson Space Center Director. It's a busy place for sure. Action just about to get underway aboard Orion for Flight Day 9 on the eve of the astronauts' homecoming on this historic mission. Vanessa Weich. This is Mission Control Houston, 7 days, 17 hours, 41 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission. The lunar flyby that occurred earlier this week, setting up the orbital mechanics for Integrity to splash down off the coast of San Diego on Friday night to complete its mission that will have spanned from launch to splashdown 694,392 statute miles. As you can see in this data-generated visualization, we're just about at the halfway point between the moon and the Earth, halfway home. That halfway point, just 7 hours and 49 minutes away. And the velocity of Integrity as it heads back toward Earth will begin to increase dramatically at that point as the tug of Earth's gravity continues to pull at the spacecraft, resulting in a splashdown at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time on Friday evening.
Houston Integrity for a quick vehicle dynamics question.
Good morning, Reed. We're here. What's your question?
Houston, you know in the sim how we get that vehicle dynamics sound?
Did you say clicking cross? P-R-O-P. Good morning, Reed. We're here. What's your question? Clock.
No, that like clicking P-O-C-K sound, and that comes up in the sim. It's like a thunk, thunk, thunk,
Did you say
thunk,
clicking
and we always wondered if that was in the vehicle.
P-R-O-P sound?
You know the sound I'm talking about?
Yes, we're all smiling down here and nodding.
No, that like clicking talk T-O-C-K sound, and that comes up in the sim. Yeah, exactly. It's like we have never had that sound on this entire mission until about 1 minute ago, and now it's coming back. So we were just wondering, is there any commanding or anything that is going on that's related that could be creating that sound?
We might have an idea. Give us 1 minute, and I'll get back to you with an answer.
We've never had that sound on this entire mission until about 1 minute ago, and now it's coming back. So we were just wondering. Okay, it is on the. It almost sounds like it's right outside the pressure hull on the port side of the vehicle.
We We might have an idea. Give us 1 minute, and I'll get back to you with an answer. Copy. Good data.
Okay, it is on it almost sounds like it's right outside the pressure hull on the port side of the vehicle.
Copy. Good data. Integrity Houston, for an answer on the sounds. We were just down here checking out your System 1 ammonia, which is on the port side. We think that may be the source, and we are about to uplink some commands to activate System 2 on the starboard side. We will let you know when to expect that activation, and you can let us know what you hear, which is on the port side. We think that may be the source, and we are about to uplink some commands to activate System 2 on the starboard side. We will let you know when to expect that activation, and you can let us know what you hear.
Okay, that's perfect. And we do see what we suspect are some flakes from that system out the windows.
Houston copies.
This is Mission Control Houston. That exchange you heard just a moment or two ago between Integrity Commander Reed Wiseman and Spacecraft Communicator Jackie Mahaffey here in Mission Control related to some noises that were heard in the vehicle, but they are completely normal. The cycling of ammonia hardware that provides cooling for the spacecraft. No issues whatsoever. Integrity continues to fly smoothly on. Now 145,000 miles from Earth, 131,000 miles from the Moon. Soon to reach the halfway point between the two orbs this evening, about 7 hours and 41 minutes from now. Aboard Integrity, the 4 astronauts, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialists Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen are in their post-sleep period, reviewing their morning mail, having an opportunity to get a bite to eat as they are set up for the day before entry work that lies ahead that will include stowage preparations, basically keeping the cabin ship-shape and putting away all of the items that they have used during the course of the mission. They'll have several hours this afternoon to review entry documents, all of the flight data file documents associated with entry and the procedures that they'll be following for their high-speed return back to Earth on Friday night that will culminate in a splashdown off the coast of San Diego at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. They will have a conference with Flight Director Judd Freeling a bit later. Not Judd Freeling. Judd Freeling was the Ascent Flight Director. He is sitting on console with the Entry Flight Director, Rick Henfling. Henfling will have the conference with the crew a bit later today to review those entry procedures. And the last item of business for the crew late this evening will be the configuration of the crew cabin so that when they wake up on Friday, everything will be stowed and ready for their trip back to Earth. There is one thruster firing that is scheduled for this evening at 9:53 p.m. Central Time. That will be the return trajectory correction number 2 burn, the RTC-2 burn, an 8-second burn of the thrusters on the European service module that will induce a change in velocity of 4.2 feet per second. This, the next to last major burn of the mission that will fine-tune the trajectory for integrity so that it hits the sweet spot in the corridor across the Pacific for entry interface, where integrity will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet and begin its high-speed descent back to Earth. From the point at which integrity reaches entry interface, we're going to have about a 14-minute period between entry interface and splashdown. The speed of the spacecraft will reach a peak speed of about 23,839 miles an hour. That equates to about 32 times the speed of sound. Those numbers could be refined by flight dynamics in real time as we get there tomorrow, and we'll certainly report that. The splashdown velocity for Integrity and its crew will have slowed to a mere 19 miles per hour. That's thanks to a series of 11 different parachutes that will be employed during the entry sequence. The first 3 parachutes are forward bay cover parachutes. The forward bay cover, think of it as the very top of the spacecraft. Those forward bay cover parachutes are used in conjunction with pyrotechnic thrusters to ensure the separation of the forward bay cover that has protected Orion and its parachutes during the heat of re-entry. Those 3 forward bay cover parachutes are 7 feet in diameter, 8 pounds apiece, 100% Kevlar material. Each FBC parachute, as it is known, the forward bay cover parachute, is approximately 100 feet long. On the starboard side of the vehicle, we'll be activating that in just over 1 minute. Those will be deployed at an altitude of 26,500 feet in altitude, while the vehicle is traveling at about 324 miles an hour.
Copy that.
Integrity Houston, for ammonia system 2 on the starboard side of the vehicle, we'll be activating that in just over 1 minute. Let us know what you hear.
Copy that.
Jackie Mahaffey relaying word up to Jeremy Hansen aboard Integrity that we're going to be activating that ammonia system in just a short period of time. That could induce some noises in the cabin, but that is absolutely normal. Once the forward bay cover parachutes are jettisoned, the next stop will be the deployment of drogue parachutes that are used to slow and stabilize the crew module during descent and establish proper conditions for the main parachute deployment that will follow. 3 pilot parachutes are used to lift and deploy the main parachutes from the crew module forward bay. And then finally, 3 main parachutes, the orange and white parachutes, used to slow the crew module down for landing to a speed that ensures astronauts' safety with a splashdown velocity of about 19 miles an hour. So we're going to go from 23,783 miles an hour at entry interface and slow to a splashdown speed of just 19 miles an hour in just 14 minutes.
Houston copies. Thanks for the data.
Now that we know, I feel like we've discovered the last thing we need to discover on this spacecraft. This is such a fulfilling feeling.
I guess we'll let you come home now.
And Christina Cook confirming that they do hear that sound.
And now that we know, I feel like we've discovered the last thing we need to discover on this spacecraft. This is such a fulfilling feeling.
And integrity for PCD2 and Victor, the mail sync is complete if you haven't noticed that already, and you can go back into your mail.
Reed Wiseman assuring everyone.
And integrity for PCD2 and Victor, the mail sync is complete if you haven't noticed that already, and you can go back into your mail. Good to hear, and Victor, we are still getting some of the final ops product updates onto your PCD. Good to hear, and Victor, we are still getting some of the final ops product updates onto your PCD.
Spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey telling Reed Wiseman that
Okay, sounds good, Jackie. Thank you.
some of the other operations products, the ops products, as she indicated, that are being loaded onto their portable computer devices, basically a tablet that they use where all of the flight data file information and the updated flight notes that are uplinked to the crew can be viewed by the crew during the course of the mission.
Houston, integrity for trash stowage.
Go ahead.
From the Bravo 3 purple CTD 10,002, we're starting to utilize that for trash per the mission summary. We had two items remaining in there, which we are going to pull out, which is the 4 quantity of Orion water bags in the Ziploc, a PWD adapter, and a post-flight analysis packet. PWD adapter, although I think that is the Ziploc, that last one, which we are going to pull out, which is the 4 quantity of Orion water bags in the
Houston
Ziploc,
copies. Thanks for helping us track it.
PWD adapter, and a post-flight analysis packet. And the post-flight analysis packet is not empty. There is like a water adapter and a water packet in there.
Houston copies. Thanks for helping us track it. We copy.
And the post-flight analysis, do you want us to leave all those items in the B3 small CTV, or you want us to pull them out and put them somewhere else? There in a water packet in there.
Checking. We copy.
Do you want us to leave all those items in the B3 small CTV, or you want us to pull them out and put them somewhere else?
Checking.
And if it helps make the conversation go faster, we just shoved all those items at the bottom of the Bravo 3 CTB, and we're putting our first trash bag on top, and then we will keep the water catcher items at the very top.
We like that plan.
The conversation move faster. We just shoved all those items at the bottom of the Bravo 3 CTB, and we're putting our first trash bag on top, and then we will keep the water catcher items at the very top.
We like that plan.
Again, Jackie Mahaffey, the spacecraft communicator here in Mission Control, seated next to Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling. This is the shift that has replaced the Orbit 1 shift, if you will, that was under the direction of the lead flight director for the mission, Jeff Radigan. Radigan completed his final shift of the mission yesterday. Henfling is in the flight director's chair today, presiding over all of the entry preparations that will set up Integrity for its high-speed return back to Earth on Friday. This is Mission Control Houston. We are 7 days, 18 hours, 4 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission. There's been, of course, a lot of interest in the Friday timeline of key events that will unfold throughout the course of the day to bring the astronauts home for their splashdown in the Pacific off the coast of San Diego. So while we have an opportunity here early in the crew's workday, we can run some of that down for you. The crew is scheduled to wake up on Friday at 10:35 a.m. Central Time. This will all be in Central Time. They'll begin a couple of hours later to configure the crew cabin for entry, basically completing some of the work that they'll start later today. A final return trajectory correction burn called the RTC-3 burn that will complete the fine-tuning of our trajectory to hit the proper spot in the corridor, if you will. Corridor that's about 475 nautical miles wide across the Pacific from southwest to northeast, with a downtrack distance of some 1,300 nautical miles from the point of entry interface.
Integrity Houston for stowage.
The
Integrity Houston for stowage.
The corridor that I'm referencing is basically a cone, if you will, that stretches across the Pacific Ocean, that ranges on a distance from the point of entry interface. That's the point where integrity will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere. That downtrack distance ranges from about 1,300 nautical miles to some 1,775 nautical miles from the point of entry interface. And of course, the further downtrack we go, the closer to the coast of San Diego we will be, and the closest we will be to the recovery ship, the USS John P. Murtha. Here in the flight control room, a round of applause
for read and stowage item.
Rick Henfling, the entry flight director, took a moment to recognize Kelsey Young, the chief science officer for the Artemis II mission, whose guidance in selecting lunar targets has resulted in some of the spectacular photography you've seen.
Okay, Jackie, go ahead.
A couple of follow-ups for you on some of the items you listed. The post-flight analysis packet, you will use that
and again,
later today
this
to take
view
a sample.
Of Kelsey Young wrapping up her
the PWD water
console.
adapter can remain in the bag. We don't need that.
And
the 4 water bags you found are the ones that will go into your seat pouches for entry tomorrow. Analysis packet, you will use that later today to take a sample. The PWD water adapter can remain in the bag. We don't need that. And the 4 water bags you found are the ones that will go into your seat pouches for entry tomorrow.
Well, I'm really grateful that people were listening and helped us pull those things to the top of that bag. Thank you very much.
Getting back to our earlier discussion, so if you have a visualization of the Pacific Ocean and a vehicle moving across the Pacific from southwest to northeast, there's a cone that begins at entry interface, the point at which integrity will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. At that point, the astronauts will feel the first sensation of Earth's gravity since they launched from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st. That cone stretches from about 1,300 nautical miles all the way toward the coast of San Diego to a downrange distance from the point of entry interface of 1,775 nautical miles. We want to get to that sweet spot near the coast of San Diego for a bullseye splashdown to put the vehicle, the spacecraft, in close proximity to the USS John P. Murtha. The Murtha will be poised about 3 miles away from the intended splashdown target. Those numbers will be refined as we approach a much closer point towards the entry of integrity tomorrow, but we are committed, of course, through orbital mechanics, to a splashdown in the Pacific tomorrow at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. If you look back at the translunar injection burn that occurred back on April 2nd, that enabled Integrity's crew to break out of low Earth orbit, following 24 hours of a high elliptical orbit around the Earth, that translunar injection burn also served essentially as a deorbit burn. So instead of orbiting around the Earth in low Earth orbit, and you need a braking maneuver to ease out of low Earth orbit and begin the descent back into the Earth's atmosphere, we're using the laws of Johannes Kepler to fly around the moon on a free return trajectory and then come back to Earth. So to get back to the timeline, the final major maneuver that will fine-tune our path into that corridor is scheduled at 1:53 p.m. Central Time on Friday. That's the RTC-3 burn, the return trajectory correction number 3 burn. NASA Plus coverage that will be SIMO with our 24/7 YouTube coverage that you're enjoying at the moment. Our NASA Plus coverage will begin on Friday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. At 6:15 p.m. Central Time on Friday, we'll do a communications handover from the Deep Space Network to the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System. 18 minutes later, at 6:33 p.m., the first major milestone will be conducted. That will be the pyrotechnic separation between Integrity's crew module and the European service module. In 4 minutes after that, we'll conduct, if it's needed, a so-called raise burn that will tilt the vehicle's aft end up ever so slightly. That's about an 18-second burn using the thrusters on Integrity itself. And that raise burn will fine-tune our corridor trajectory one final time to make sure we're on a true path to splash down where we intend to, as close to the recovery ship as possible. Entry interface is currently scheduled at 6:53 p.m. Central Time. Again, as we've said before, this is the point 400,000 feet above the Earth in which Integrity will be traveling some 34,882 feet per second, with a range to splashdown of some 1,701 nautical miles. Some 20 seconds after entry interface, as fast as we are going, we will encounter a blackout in communications, which is to be expected, about a 6-minute blackout, in which heat around the vehicle will build to some 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, creating an ionization as the heat is repelled off of Integrity's heat shield, creating a plasma wake around the vehicle. It will be impossible to communicate with the crew or receive data from Integrity for about a 6-minute period. We should be emerging from that blackout just a few seconds before 7 p.m. Central Time, or about 7 minutes before splashdown. There will be a series of role reversals in which the onboard computers will command Orion to roll to the left, to roll to the right. That is designed to bleed off excess energy and reduce speed naturally as the spacecraft begins its descent into the lower regions of the Earth's atmosphere, with the onboard computers targeting that splashdown off the coast of San Diego. We are expecting the forward bay cover chute deploy to occur at 7:03 and 22 seconds p.m. Central Time, followed by the deployment of the drogue chutes just seconds later, and the deployment of the main chutes at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time, which will be about 2.5 minutes before splashdown in the Pacific. We'll continue to update you with those numbers as the day goes along, and of course again tomorrow, but that is a snapshot of the entry profile for Integrity that will bring the Artemis 2 mission to a conclusion. Copy. This is Mission Control Houston at a mission elapsed time of 7 days, 18 hours, 41 minutes into the flight of integrity on the Artemis 2 mission. All quiet here in the Mission Control Room, the Artemis Flight Control Room, also known as the White Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Integrity's 4 astronauts, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialists Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen, have been awake for the better part of an hour and a half now as they finish their post-sleep period, reviewing their morning mail and all of the procedures that will govern their work on this 9th day of the mission and on the eve of their homecoming back to the Earth that you see in the field of view from one of the solar array wing cameras on Integrity. Integrity systems continue to function in great fashion. No significant issues being worked by the flight control team here in Mission Control. This is a day in which the crew will begin to pack up their crew cabin and spend time both with Flight Director Rick Henfling this afternoon, as well as themselves reviewing all of their flight data file procedures that will be part of the entry timeline on Friday. The mission status briefing for today is about 2 hours away at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, at which point you'll get all of the latest information on preparations for Integrity's homecoming and the completion of this historic lunar flyby mission tomorrow. Out in the Pacific, which is the port of call for Integrity for its splashdown at 7:07 p.m. Central Time Friday night, the USS John P. Murtha, which is the recovery ship, is in position, ready to begin recovery operations on Friday to extract the 4 crew members from Integrity, hoist them into a pair of Navy helicopters, fly them back to the ship, where they'll go into medical bay, for routine post-flight medical exams. That will precede a flight back to shore and ultimately a flight back to the Johnson Space Center in Houston. There have been questions about the order of extraction from the vehicle once we have splashdown and once we are in a stable 1 or upright configuration to enable the fast boats and the Navy divers to approach the spacecraft for the opening of the hatch to Integrity. The order of extraction, according to the latest information we've received from the ship, Christina Cook will be first to be extracted from Integrity, followed by Victor Glover, then Jeremy Hansen, and the commander of Integrity, Reed Wiseman, will be the last to leave the ship onto a big raft that will be erected right next to the hatchway to Integrity called the front porch. There will be a period in which Navy divers and medical personnel will have a chance to check out the crew before they're hoisted one by one in sequential fashion to the helicopters. Christina Cook will be first to be hoisted into helicopter number 1, Jeremy Hansen into helicopter number 2, Victor Glover into helicopter number 1, and Reed Wiseman into helicopter number 2. So Cook and Glover will have a short ride then back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. Jeremy Hansen will accompany Reed Wiseman on the second helicopter for a short trip back to the deck of the ship. We mentioned it earlier, but with this beautiful view of the Earth growing larger and larger in the field of view, it's worth mentioning again that we are about 6 hours and 44 minutes away from reaching the halfway point between the Earth and the Moon on the journey back to our planet. The acceleration of the velocity of integrity heading back to Earth will increase substantially after we cross that halfway point, although we left the lunar sphere of influence on the day after our lunar flyby. The mission management team meeting today reviewed the weather at the splashdown site, which is off the coast of San Diego. No significant change from what you heard yesterday from Rick Henfling, the entry flight director, in our briefing. We will be reprising all of that information in the upcoming briefing in 2 hours at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. We're expecting at the splashdown site southwest winds at about 10 knots, wave heights of about 4 feet, actually somewhat less than 4 feet. It should be very gentle conditions. 2.5 hours before sunset is the splashdown time off the coast of California. So the models have come into agreement regarding splashdown weather. And although we are committed to an entry and splashdown in the Pacific on Friday night due to orbital mechanics, it appears as if Mother Nature is going to provide rather pristine conditions for splashdown as well as the recovery of the crew. As part of the pre-entry procedures being worked by the flight control team here in Mission Control is the warm-up of heaters for the reaction control system thrusters on integrity. Those will be employed following the separation of the crew module from the European service module on Friday. And those thrusters will be used for what is expected to be the crew module raise burn. The raise burn being a slight tilting up of the aft end of the vehicle in a final fine-tuning maneuver for the trajectory of the vehicle as it enters the entry corridor and entry interface, as it is called, where spacecraft will reach the upper reaches of the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. As Integrity enters the Earth's atmosphere on Friday, with entry interface, as it is called, at an altitude of 400,000 feet, the vehicle will be traveling some 34,800 feet per second. The forecast peak speed is about Mach 32, some 32 times the speed of sound. There has been a lot discussed about the heat shield on Integrity. The trajectory that we are flying to bring Integrity home is different than what was flown during the Artemis 1 mission. At that time, we flew a trajectory known as a skip entry, in which we performed an initial dip into the atmosphere to dissipate some energy or speed. Then we lofted or skipped out of the atmosphere, sort of like a rock being thrown against a lake. Then we dipped a second and final time into the atmosphere before splashing down in the Pacific Ocean. As part of routine post-flight inspections and video analysis, areas of mechanical char liberation were observed, and that sent the engineers back to the drawing board to try to understand what may have caused that liberation. Here is my brief tutorial on metallurgy. Chemical decomposition of ablative heat shields like the one on Integrity is expected. That mechanical liberation of the char that occurred on Artemis 1 was somewhat unexpected. Chemical decomposition occurs as heat shield material heats up and decomposes. That's a process called pyrolysis, which generates gases during entry. The generation rate of the gas is a function of the temperature of the heat shield material, which is known as avcode. As the gases are being generated, a layer of char is forming on the surface of the heat shield. That char is porous. Now, what you want to have happen is for the gases to escape through the pores in the char layer faster than the new gas is generated. On Artemis 1, we found through post-flight analysis that the temperature profile experienced by the heat shield was such that that was not happening on areas of the heat shield with less porous areas of avcode. That resulted in a pressure buildup under the surface of the char layer. When that pressure gets high enough, some portions of the char layer could liberate from the heat shield, and did in the example of Artemis 1. So, as a result, NASA gathered experts from across the agency and private industry, including establishing an independent review team to investigate that issue. All parties agreed with the conclusion that we are flying on Artemis 2 tomorrow a shorter entry trajectory, which will avoid a temperature profile conducive to high rates of gas generation as the avcode chemically decomposes. Now, you'll want some repelling of the heat, obviously. That's what the function of the heat shield is to repel heat. For Artemis 3 and beyond, the agency has redesigned the manufacturing process for making the avcode blocks such that we will have material that starts out more porous and will allow more efficient gas dissipation as the char layer forms. That's a critical feature for long skip entry trajectories returning from the South Pole of the Moon. The bottom line is that it was proven that the heat shield would have supported a safe entry of astronauts on Artemis 1 had they been aboard, and we are expecting no significant issues during the high-speed entry and heat buildup around the heat shield on Artemis 2 and the Integrity spacecraft tomorrow.
Houston, Integrity, just curious if we can start docking camera activity a bit early for charging, not critical.
Good morning, Jeremy. You are go for dock cam.
Houston, Integrity, just curious if we can start docking camera activity a bit early for charging. Okay, good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Jeremy. You are go for dock cam.
Okay, good morning to all of you.
And Canadian Space Agency mission specialist Jeremy Hansen aboard Integrity, talking to spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey here on the ground about the start of the crew beginning camera configuration activities, setting up all of the cameras that they will use inside the vehicle during the next 24 hours or so leading up to their return to Earth and their splashdown. Tomorrow, you'll be hearing the voice of Jackie Mahaffey talking to the crew quite frequently during the entry activities. She and the rest of this entry team will be on console tomorrow morning to begin the final shift of the mission that will culminate with a splashdown on that crescent orb you're looking at. That's the good planet Earth. Splashdown scheduled at 7:07 Central Time Friday night, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset at the splashdown site. Shortly, we'll be moving into what is called the Daily Planning Conference. This is typical on this mission as well as for the International Space Station missions twice a day, in which flight controllers convene and have an opportunity to discuss with the crew the forward plan for the day, or in the case of an evening daily planning conference, to review the day's activities and to see what adjustments in the next day's timeline may be required. So we'll be listening here in the next few minutes for the start of the daily planning conference, which should be basically a rundown of the rest of the day's activities for the crew, highlighted by all of the entry preparations that are in store to set the stage for tomorrow's homecoming and the end of this Artemis II mission. We're inside 2 hours from our mission status briefing for the day that's scheduled at 2:30 p.m. Central, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Basically a review of the mission management team discussions from earlier today and another look ahead at the activities that will highlight the rest of the flight of Integrity and its 4 astronauts. At a mission elapsed time of 7 days, 19 hours, and 4 minutes into the flight of Integrity, this is Mission Control Houston.
Integrity Houston, for help with some prop void parameters at your convenience. Integrity Houston, for help with some prop void parameters at your convenience.
Okay, go ahead, Jackie.
Hey, we are starting into some of our preps for tomorrow and want to verify that a couple of voids are in the right config for entry. We'd like help checking them on mes.params. Let me know when you're there. Hey, we are starting into some of our preps for tomorrow and want to verify that a couple of voids are in the right config for entry. We'd like help checking them on mes.params. Let me know when you're there.
Okay, Jackie, I'm at MES.params.
We've got two voids we'd like you to check. The numbers are 34600
Okay, Jackie.
and 34601. You'll enter those one at a time via tab stop 1 and then select the numbers load void parameters 34600 and 34601. You'll enter those one at a time via tab stop 1 and then select load void parameters.
Okay, for void 34600, I get a param toll of +17.0. And the mode is respond. Okay, for void 34600,
Jeremy, that's exactly what we were hoping for, and the second item is 34601, and we're looking for the same thing.
Is respond.
Jeremy, that's exactly what we were hoping for, and the second item is 34601, and we're looking for the same thing.
Value of +17.0.
That is a good config. Thanks for your help, Jeremy.
Okay, for void 34601, it's in respond, and it has the same value of +17.0.
That is a good config. Thanks for your help, Jeremy.
No problem.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at a view of the Earth growing larger and larger in the field of view with each passing minute. 6 hours and 13 minutes from now, we will have passed the halfway point on the journey home from the moon for the Artemis astronauts aboard Integrity. With splashdown scheduled one day, 6 hours, 14 minutes from now, at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time on Friday evening. We're just a few minutes away from the daily planning conference between the flight control team here in Mission Control and the crew aboard Integrity, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialists Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen. A quick tag-up in which the flight control team will review the day's work that lies ahead for Integrity's astronauts in their final full day in space. The day's activities for Integrity's astronauts will essentially include a study session in which they'll review their flight data file information about the remaining burns that are scheduled of the thrusters on the vehicle to fine-tune our trajectory for a splashdown in the Pacific on Friday night. The next burn that is scheduled is RTC-2, the return trajectory correction burn, essentially fine-tuning the path of Integrity to meet the corridor that we desire for entry interface and the final transit across the Pacific Ocean from southwest to northeast that will take us to a splashdown point at 7:07 p.m. Central Time on Friday evening. That RTC-2 burn is scheduled at 9:53 p.m. Central Time this evening. It is scheduled to be an 8-second burn with a resulting change in velocity of 4.2 feet per second. On Friday afternoon, there'll be a critical burn called the RTC-3 burn. That is the final major maneuver of this mission. The RTC-3 burn scheduled at 1:53 p.m. Central Time on Friday afternoon. That will be about 4.5 hours before we separate the crew module from the service module and begin the critical activities that will result in entry interface at 6:53 p.m. Central Time on Friday night, reaching an altitude of 400,000 feet above the Pacific Ocean, and will be the true test of integrity as it barrels through the atmosphere, with its peak speed expected to be about Mach 32. Temperatures around the vehicle will build to some 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, creating a 6-minute blackout in communications due to the ionization around the vehicle, essentially a plasma field around the vehicle. Once we emerge from the blackout, a series of chutes will be deployed, the key final chute deployment being the main chute deploy at 7:04 p.m. Central Time, and splashdown again scheduled at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 2.5 hours before sunset at the splashdown site, which will be 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. While the focus of attention here in the Artemis Flight Control Room is on the home stretch of the mission for Integrity's astronauts, down the hall in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, the work continues 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, nonstop, with a continuous human presence aboard the International Outpost, having exceeded 25 years this past November. The flight control team that's on console in the International Space Station Flight Control Room is beginning to turn its attention to the scheduled launch of a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station on Saturday morning at 6:41 a.m. Central Time, 7:41 a.m. Eastern Time, to place the Northrop Grumman Cygnus NG-24 cargo craft into orbit on a 2-day journey to reach the International Space Station and to deliver more than 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the Expedition 74 crew aboard the orbital outpost. The launch of the christened SS Steve Nagel Cygnus cargo ship will result in a capture, a robotic capture, with NASA astronauts Jack Hathaway and Chris Williams at the controls of the Canadarm2 robotic arm. That robotic capture on Monday morning is scheduled at 11:50 a.m. Central Time, 12:50 p.m. Eastern Time. NASA Plus will provide coverage of the Falcon 9 launch of the Cygnus spacecraft for Northrop Grumman and the resulting capture of Cygnus and its installation that will occur several hours later. The installation will be covered in a blog, but we will cover the rendezvous and capture in its terminal phase on Monday morning. Again, launch scheduled on Saturday from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station at 6:41 a.m. Central Time, 7:41 a.m. Eastern Time.
Houston Integrity, we're ready for the TPC.
Good morning, Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. Welcome to Flight Day 9. I've got a few items for you related to entry tomorrow, and then a couple of other follow-up items for today. First of all, your entry package content is now on board in Crew Operations Entry Package. Items for you related to entry tomorrow. We are starting to activate and check out several systems that you'll need for entry. The first is your the RCS is now on board in Crew CM activation steps have started. And we will give you a call before we fire the pyro valve or perform the hot fire itself. The first is the RCS cat beds are at temp. CM activation steps have started. And we will give you a call before we fire the pyro valves or perform the hot fire itself. Yeah, we figured that may be of interest to you. Related to the prop systems, yesterday Reed reported some toggling signatures on the SM prop helium crossover valves, and we did confirm that is due to noise on those sensors, which are based on voltage. We do not have any concerns for those, and we are expecting you may see something similar on the CMRCS during activation today. And we did confirm that is due to noise on those sensors, which are based on voltage. We do not have any concerns for those. And we are expecting you may see something similar on the CMRCS during activation. All right, 3 other good news items for entry. We had a good ammonia system checkout, as you heard this morning. Your cool loop pumps are on Bravo side. For GNC, you've got 3 good barrows. They are now off OFF again. You have 2 good GPS. We plan to keep those on this morning. Finally, your recovery ship is on station in the Pacific, and there is no change to the weather forecast from yesterday. 3 good barrows. They are now off OFF again. And you have 2 good GPS. We plan to keep those on. Finally, your recovery ship is on station in the Pacific, and there is no change to the weather forecast from yesterday.
Okay, Jackie, we copied all that. Sounds like you're really getting us ready for reentry tomorrow. Also want to let you know that we happen to have a time lapse going out of window, I guess it was window 2 this morning, and we captured some of the ammonia. Okay, Jackie, we copied all that. Just for interest, really getting us ready for photos later tomorrow. Also want to let you know that we happen to have a time lapse going out of
we copy. We'll take a look.
This was window 2 this morning.
On the system side for today, we've got a couple of items. First of all, right now we're having some trouble transferring files with PCD3. We'd like a reboot of PCD3 when convenient. We'll take a look. On the second of all, I have a stowage delta for your stowage prep this morning when someone is ready to copy. Transferring files with PCD3. We'd like a reboot of PCD3 when convenient.
Okay, I can copy that.
Second of all, I have a stowage delta in for your locker delta this morning bag 8 when someone is ready to copy. You should find a temp and humidity logger. We would like you to move that to the F1 small with the yellow label. If there's no room there, try the F1 large with brown label. The blue label. You should find a temp and humidity logger. We would like you to move that to the F1 small with the yellow label. If there's no room there, try the F1 large with brown label.
Earlier, and it's tiny. We'll be able to fit it where you want it.
Sounds great. We also had one other stowage question for you. We are wondering if you all happened to find any small items of joy in Alpha 2 or F4 small bags. Sounds great. We also had one other stowage question for you. We are wondering if you all happened to find any small items of joy in Alpha 2 or F4 small bag.
What was the second location again, Jackie?
Foxtrot 4 small. I'm told these may be items you would consume or wear.
What was the second location again, Jackie?
Foxtrot 4, small.
Yeah, we were really pleasantly surprised to find some
I'm
pretty
told
cool
these
socks.
may be items
so
you would consume or wear.
However, we haven't found the thing we can consume yet, and I'm assuming that would have come out of F4, but we'll have to have another look. Yeah, we were really pleasantly surprised to find some pretty cool socks. So
We
that
think
we
that
found.
is in Alpha 2, unless Reed has drank all of them.
We can consume yet, and I'm assuming that would have come out of F4, but we'll have to have another look.
We think that is in Alpha 2, unless Reed has drank all of them. All right, final item, we'll take an Avatar Lights report when you have it, and any other questions or items for us.
Okay, all right, well, you piqued our interest. We'll get after it.
All right,
for Avatar, it's the
final
same as
item,
yesterday,
we'll take an Avatar Lights report when you have it, and any other questions or items for us.
And just want to let you know, we did sign it and get the images as requested. We do have a question for you on toilets. Just light 14 on the bottom row, but not lit. How many voids do you think we have between now and entry? And can we use them at our own discretion between now and tomorrow? As requested. And a follow-on to that is we do have a question for you on toilets. To let us know, but tomorrow and pack them prior to entry. So if you can accommodate that planning for us, we would use them at our own discretion between now and tomorrow. And a follow-on to that is what our final thing is. That's not the final thing. A couple more things tomorrow. We had another look at the pod on the window. What we were showing you from yesterday was window 2, not window 3, just to make sure that that's clear. And we can't get a perpendicular picture because it's too far in the corner. Couple more things. We had another look at the pod on the window. What we were showing you from yesterday was window 2, not window 3. If we get sun on the windows at some point today, it would be worth letting us know. We can try to take another picture because it shows up a lot better when it's parallel. For the two panes are not parallel at that position. So we've kind of given you the best we can so far. In addition, the Z9 pixels have been on the windows at some point today. It would be worth letting us know. And I'll read you some AGA numbers. We've got CO2 of 2.7, O2 is 22.0, temperature is 74.8. In addition, the Z9 pixels have been cleaned up. That was a good tip. Thanks for doing that. Our final request is we would like a private with CO2 of 2.7, O2 is 22.0, temperature is 74.8, and the pressure is 14.7.
Okay, Jeremy, we copy all. For Avatar, that means you've got at least 36% state of charge, and it'll make its way all the way to the right hands on the ground with that level of battery. So thanks for that status, and we are working on the conference on OE2. We'll let you know when it's in place. For Avatar, that means you've got at least 36% state of charge, and it'll make its way all the way to the right hands on the ground with that level of battery. So thanks for that status, and we are working on the conference on OE2. We'll let you know when it's in place.
We'll see that tomorrow before we come back. And we're glad that Avatar is keeping our cells alive. We've been working hard to keep the cells in our bodies alive. Thanks for the Orbit 1 team picture. That's so great to see. And we're still waiting on Orbit 2. Lots to do today. We'll want to see that tomorrow before we come back. And we're glad that Avatar is keeping our cells alive. We've been working hard to keep the cells in our bodies alive, and that little box is doing the same. So that's great stuff. All right. We'll get after it. Lots to do today.
Integrity Houston, you've got a conference set up on OE2. Integrity Houston, you've got a conference set up on OE2.
This is Mission Control Houston. Here in the flight control room, spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey has concluded the daily planning conference with the 4 crew members on board. You heard not only her voice, but that of Jeremy Hansen, the Canadian Space Agency astronaut, joined by Reed Wiseman, the commander, Victor Glover, the pilot, and mission specialist Christina Cook on board. The daily planning conference running down a series of activities that lie ahead for the crew, with the highlight the start of the stowage of items aboard Integrity that will result in entry and splashdown off the coast of San Diego at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time on Friday night. Some of the highlights of that discussion included a reaffirmation by Mahaffey that the recovery ship for the crew, the USS John P. Murtha, is on station. It is expected to be about 5 miles away from the splashdown point that will help to expedite the recovery of the crew, its extraction, the hoisting of the crew into a pair of Navy helicopters, and the return helo trip back to the deck of the Murtha, where they will go into medical bay, which is expected, routine procedures that we have trained and planned for. They'll receive routine medical exams before departing the ship at some point to return to shore and then ultimately back to the Johnson Space Center in Houston. An early checkout of the Global Positioning System satellite hardware on board Integrity, so it understands its position relative to the Earth. All of that equipment is functioning perfectly, along with barrows, as you heard referenced. Those are barometric pressure sensors that ultimately will test and provide the onboard computers the information it needs to understand its distance from the splashdown site, its rate of descent, and its velocity, triggering other critical vehicle functions, such as the deployment of the series of parachutes. First, the chutes that will pull the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle, then drogue chutes, and following that, the main chutes, the 3 main parachutes that will slow Integrity from an initial velocity of some 32 times the speed of sound at the point of entry interface to just 19 miles an hour at splashdown. That whole process over a 14-minute period from the time that the vehicle and the astronauts reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere to the point of splashdown is just 14 minutes in duration. The weather forecast at the splashdown site is go. Winds are expected to be around 10 knots, wave heights less than 4 feet, and the periodics for the waves rising and falling at about 17 seconds. This is ideal weather for the recovery of the crew on Friday night. Given all of the circumstances, everything is in good shape. In about an hour at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be moving into our mission status briefing for the day, so we invite you to tune in for that. The crew will be provided with more details about its entry milestones later in the day from the flight control team here in Houston. The final public affairs event is scheduled at 6:50 p.m. Central Time this evening. And then about 3 hours later, at 9:53 p.m. Central Time, is the next critical burn, the return trajectory correction number 2 burn, that will further fine-tune Integrity's path to reach the center of the corridor we want entry to occur in tomorrow evening. The RTC-2 burn this evening at 9:53 p.m. Central will be about an 8-second burn of the reaction control system thrusters to amend the velocity by about 4.2 feet per second.
Integrity Houston for a crew eye on a prop display. Integrity Houston for a crew eye on a prop display.
Go ahead, check in with you on DU3.
Hey, Christina, we're going to start working with the CMRCS, and in particular, we're about to arm the pyro valves, and we're interested in if you all see the same toggling signature that you saw with the service module propulsion system.
Hey, Christina,
so
we're going to start
if you
working
could
with the
pull up
CMRCS,
and keep an eye on that display, we will then arm the pyro.
And we're interested in if you all see the same toggling signature that you saw with the service module propulsion system. So if you could pull up CMRCS and keep an eye on that display, we will then arm the pyros.
Safe and armed already.
We copy all, and we'll put our actions in work.
My eyes on the pyro A and B valves, and they're already, I'm seeing the behavior of them toggling in between safe and armed already.
We copy all, and we'll put our actions in work.
We see armed, and it is steady.
Houston copies. Thanks.
Jackie, we see armed, and it is steady.
Houston copies. Thanks.
Houston, integrity.
Go ahead.
We've been enjoying the view from solar array wing cameras on Integrity.
Hey,
the
Jackie,
great view of the Earth as it grows larger and larger in the field of view.
And you'll call us back
Statistically,
when
this
you
visualization.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry, it was just long enough of an awkward pause,
hey, Jackie,
but we are getting very close to actually opening those, and we think you'd be interested in that as well.
When you actually activate. Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, it was just long enough of an awkward pause, but we are getting very close to actually opening those, and we think you'd be interested in that as well.
We are having happy coffee shop time up here right now.
Excellent. Well, I'll have some down here to celebrate with you.
Quick note to let you know, we found our little present. We are very excited, and we are having happy coffee shop time up here right now.
Excellent. Well, I'll have some down here to celebrate with you.
Cheers to that.
Christina Cook acknowledging what was referred to in the daily planning conference as a present.
Integrity Houston, Christina, we are about to send the string 2 pyro valve, and we definitely want to know what you see and
now back
hear.
to this visualization. This is a three-dimensional view driven by real-time telemetry.
We are ready.
Integrity Houston, Christina, we are about to send the string 2 pyro valve, and we definitely want to know what you see and hear.
We are ready.
Once again, that visualization that you saw a moment ago showing the distance from the Earth and the distance from the moon. We're almost at that halfway point. You can see at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We'll reach the halfway point on the journey home 5.5 hours from now.
And Jackie, let me know.
In the meantime, we're doing a quick test of pressurization in the prop system, gathering data on this test flight of Orion, the flyby of the moon, having been accomplished.
Stand by.
Let me know when it's a good time to give you our commentary.
Stand by.
Cook is ready to provide a characterization of what she's hearing as the pyro valves are open for the pressurization system.
Christina, we're ready for your words.
Again, this is a data gathering
Okay,
exercise.
we do see Pyro B Bravo sent, and at the time that changed, we heard a loud
Christina,
knock,
we're
like
ready
a metallic
for
knock, like
your
a
words.
wrench on the side of the vehicle, very quick. And then a few seconds later, we heard a light knock, like knuckles rapping on the outside. I'm not sure what that might have been associated with. At the time that changed, we heard a loud knock, like a metallic knock, like a wrench on the side of the vehicle, very quick. And then
We copy.
later, we heard a
Wrench,
knock,
then
like
knuckles. We do think that
sure
first noise was the pyro. And from our telemetry on the ground, that looked like a nominal string 2 pyro valve open. We copy. Wrench, then knuckles. We do think that first noise was the pyro. And from our telemetry on the ground, that looked like a nominal string 2 pyro valve open.
And we see the same. Good news.
And Christina, it'll be a good 5 to 10 minutes before we're ready for string 1, so we'll give you a call back.
The flight control team here, what she heard during the opening of the pyro valves for the propellant pressurization system.
And Christina, it'll be a good 5 to 10 minutes before we're ready for string 1, so we'll give you a call back.
Copy.
The system is working fine. This noise characterization test is a data gathering exercise, part of this flight test of the Orion vehicle, gathering data for future missions in which all of the various systems will be exercised for longer periods of time during those respective flights that are in the future. Integrity is flying in great shape. No issues being worked by the flight control team here in mission control in the Artemis flight control room. In fact, it has been very quiet since the entry team came on console several hours ago. The same team will be on console tomorrow morning to guide Integrity and its astronauts back to Earth and to wrap up this mission in which humans...
Integrity docking camera is removed and stowed for entry.
Houston copies.
Victor Glover reporting that he has stowed the docking camera. This is a camera that was installed in the vehicle, in the cabin, that assisted Glover during the proximity operations flying of Integrity several hours after launch back on April 1st to test its handling characteristics as it approached, then backed away, and then reapproached, and then backed away a second time from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, the ICPS. That was the upper stage of the vehicle that enabled Integrity to reach its preliminary orbit around the Earth. The free return trajectory that was crafted for this mission specifically to provide lots of time, more than 24 hours of time, for the characterization and validation of the critical systems aboard Integrity, including life support systems. All of that trajectory worked to perfection, sending Integrity to initial elliptical orbit that reached an apogee of about 43,000 miles after launch, when it swung back around toward the Earth. The translunar injection burn occurred on April 2nd, enabling humans to break out of low Earth orbit for the first time since Apollo 17. The translunar injection burn also served the dual purpose of being, in essence, a deorbit burn. Whereas we think of a normal deorbit burn for an Earth orbiting vehicle as the function of a braking rocket, slowing the velocity of an orbiting spacecraft down long enough so that Earth's gravity can capture the vehicle and bring it back into the atmosphere. The trajectory that was deliberately designed for this test flight sent Integrity on a free return trajectory where it looped around the moon, exceeding the distance record set by Apollo 13 in 1970, making this quartet of astronauts the humans who have traveled further away from Earth than any other humans in history. The loop around the far side of the moon, and now the return trip to Earth that you see growing larger in the field of view to culminate in a high-speed entry back to Earth and a parachute-assisted splashdown in the Pacific southwest of San Diego on Friday evening at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time.
Houston's here for 2 answers.
First is just a request Houston Integrity for 2 questions, 1 stowage, 1 PCD. For a quick email sync between now and lunch, that would be
Houston's
awesome.
here for 2 answers.
A couple things in our outbox about the families, but obviously getting ready for entry is the highest priority. And then second, for stow track, we can open the program and we see our 4 names, but we do not see a vehicle. So and we just have to select option, but the vehicle listed, and we cannot move on about the families. But obviously getting ready for entry is the highest priority. And then second, for stow track, we can open the program and we see our 4 names, but we do not see a vehicle. So
Reed, we copy both. Stand by for answers.
And we cannot move on. Thank you.
Reed, we copy both. Stand by for answers.
Thank you.
Integrity Houston, Reed, back with you. First of all, for stow track, we copied your issue. That is unfortunate, and we don't have any great troubleshooting options, but we can offer you a backup. It is PVE procedure 26.5.300. We copied your issue. That is unfortunate, and we don't have. And for the email sync, we are a little tight on bandwidth right now, but we'll keep looking for an opportunity and let you know if we find one. 26.5.300 stowage return reconfiguration.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
And for the email sync, we are a little tight on bandwidth right now, but we'll keep looking for an opportunity and let you know if we find one.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you. And Jackie, it might be a different pipe, but do you want the HHP camera or not? And Jackie, it might be a different pipe, but do you want the HHP camera or not?
Reed, thanks for checking on the HHP cam. Right now we're doing a little bandwidth trading, including between the email and the camera. Let's leave the camera off for the moment. Reed, thanks for checking on the HHP cam. Right now we're doing a little bandwidth trading, including between the email and the camera. Let's leave the camera off for the moment. And Integrity Houston, when you are ready, we are ready to fire the string 1 prop ISO valve. And Integrity Houston, when you are ready, we are ready to fire the string 1 prop ISO valve.
And Jackie, we will be ready in about 30 seconds.
Copy. We'll count to 30 and give it a shot.
And Jackie, we will be ready in about 30 seconds.
Copy. We'll count to 30 and give it a shot.
This is Mission Control Houston. 7 days, 20 hours, 13 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission, the historic lunar flyby around the moon that is in the home stretch as we see the crew beginning to work all the procedures on the day before entry as they start to stow the cabin, review entry procedures, discuss procedures with the flight director, Rick Henfling, here in Mission Control, receive final, what they call mail syncs, basically uplink of mail from their families, and gearing up for their high-speed entry back to Earth and a splashdown off the coast of San Diego 2.5 hours before sunset out in the Pacific on Friday night.
Integrity Houston, for CM prop, we had a good string 1 activation, and we'd like any feedback from you.
Awesome.
Integrity Houston, for CM prop, we had a good string 1 activation, and we'd like any feedback from you.
Clicks. This time we also heard a little bit of a flow, like pressurizing. And we associated the second knock with the reg probably closing. It was right when we got to pressure. Except I think we heard even a little bit more, the same 2 clicks. This time we also heard a little bit of a flow, like pressurizing.
Christina, that makes perfect sense. Thank you for all of that feedback. And for Reed, if he can go hands-off email, we are going to do that sync now. And I think everyone wanted that. Thank you for all of that feedback. If everyone's hands-off email, we'll do the sync for everyone. For Reed, if he can go hands-off email, we are going to do that sync now.
Copy and thank you.
And I think everyone wanted that. So if everyone's hands-off email, we'll do the sync for everyone.
Copy and thank you.
The propulsion officer here in Mission Control is all smiles with this characterization of the second of the 2 strings of the propellant and the propulsion pressurization system. Again, gathering data on this test flight on the behavior of that pressurization system that enables these systems to be properly pressurized for upcoming thruster maneuvers. Everything going swimmingly aboard Integrity, no issues being reported. The crew in the early portions of their workday preparing to begin stowing their crew cabin before they move into the heart of all of their entry activities later today and through the bulk of the morning tomorrow after they wake up. A reminder, we're about 40 minutes out from our mission status briefing for the day, in which managers will discuss the status of the flight, entry preparations, and to take questions from reporters both here at the Johnson Space Center and on our phone bridge. The mission status briefing scheduled for today at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. One other reminder this evening, the RTC-2 burn is scheduled. That is the second in the series of 3 return trajectory correction burns. These are fine-tuning maneuvers to basically sweeten the path of Integrity to reach the center line, if you will, of the entry corridor tomorrow that will put Integrity on a glide path that will carry it to a precise touchdown, hopefully within just a few miles of the recovery ship, the John P. Murtha, which has basically placed itself on station, reporting good weather and the forecast calling for winds just around 10 knots and waves at about 4 feet. Ideal conditions, almost pristine conditions for the homecoming of Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen.
Houston, CFC still complete. We did not have the shipping bubble wrap, so it is gently placed in A3 on top of the docking camera. Should be fine.
Houston copies. And Reed, we have one optional stow track troubleshooting to offer you if you would like it.
Gently placed in A3 on top of the docking camera. Should be fine.
Houston copies. And
we'll go one more time.
We have one optional stow track troubleshooting to offer you if you would like it. All right, it's going to involve typing a few more letters after the URL in the browser. Let me know when you're ready.
We'll go one more time.
All right, it's going to involve typing a few more letters after the URL in the browser. Let me know when you're ready. You can open StowTrack and then go as if to edit the URL at the top of that browser. And these words I'll give you are at the end of the last backslash. You can open StowTrack and then go as if to edit the URL at the top of that browser. And these after that backslash, at the end you will type reload data dot Alpha Sierra Papa X-ray.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, after that backslash, you will type reload data dot Alpha Sierra. When you hit enter, you might get an error page. If that happens, hit the browser back one time.
Okay, I'll try.
When you hit enter, you might get an error page. If that happens, hit the browser back
hit the browser back, and I do not have a vehicle.
Okay, we copy. Thanks for giving it a try.
And just to be 100% clear, they are not backslashes. It's a local host /.
Okay, we copy. Thanks for giving it a try. Copy. We don't think that would be the difference between our troubleshooting and yours.
They are not backslashes. It's a local host /.
Copy. We don't think that would be the difference between our troubleshooting and yours. Thanks.
Spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey in that exchange with Commander Reed Wiseman trying to troubleshoot the opening of a browser in which the crew keeps track of items that are being stowed for entry. This is not an issue whatsoever in regard to the mission, nor the entry of the vehicle tomorrow. It's simply a bookkeeping issue. So we press ahead with the Earth in the field of view from a solar array wing camera, just over 5 hours away from reaching the halfway point on the return trip from the moon that will result in splashdown 1 day, 5 hours, 8 minutes, and 47 seconds from now. Before we get too close to our mission status briefing coming up at the bottom of the hour at 2:30 p.m. Central, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we can review some of the entry day highlights for you. On Friday, the crew will be awakened at 10:35 a.m. Central Time. All the times I'm about to give you are Central Time. The crew will be awakened at 10:35 a.m. A couple of hours later, just before 1 p.m. Central Time, they'll begin configuring the cabin for entry. One final major burn, that's the RTC-3 burn, the return trajectory correction number 3 burn, is scheduled at 1:53 p.m. Central Time. That is a final fine-tuning maneuver to further